Alright, the first thing we're going to do is this piece. I've decided the best thing to do with that piece is to just wrap tape around it and try to make it kind of flat, and that piece is going to act as our tongue for the piranha plant. It might not be exactly like it is in the reference, but it's a good way to use that piece. So I'm going to do that and I'll be back. So I've tried to shape it like a tongue. So I flattened it, and then when I was applying tape, I put a piece of tape like this to give myself a nice curve here. And now I'm gonna paper mache that. Okay, so I paper mache that. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this in half. I'm gonna cut it in half kind of wherever the longest part is. Well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, just look at it carefully and analyze, make sure that you're cutting the best part for the mouth. For me, I think this pointy bit is a good part for to go in that way, and this part will be the mouth. So I'm going to cut this down the middle, and then we're going to shape it on the inside. So go ahead and make a line where you think the best place to cut it is. If you're really not sure, just make your line and then come and see me, and I'll give you my opinion, but I don't really think you can go wrong here. So I'm going to try to cut it right there, and this is not going to be easy, alright? So you need to get yourself a good pair of scissors. I was thinking about maybe just bringing a saw into class, and I would do it for you. Let me go get the saw here and see if that will make quick work of it. And if I do it like that, you're just gonna have to bring it to me and I'll saw it for you and I'll give it back to you. Alright, I couldn't find the saw, but I found this like knife, and I'm gonna see if that'll work. And it seems to be getting the job done, but this seems pretty dangerous. So I'm gonna try to find, my next idea is to get my multi-tool, and maybe the multi-tool will cut it faster, and I think it'll be safer. Let me go get the multi-tool, let me see. All right, so I have my little Rockwell Sonic here, and I also found the saw. Let's see the saw, but again, I think the Sonic hair is probably gonna be better, just so, either way, I'm gonna do it for you. Yeah, that's not really working. I'm gonna do it for you, but I think that this is gonna work much better. All right, so this is the Sonic hair, Sonic Crafter Rockwell, and I'm gonna give it a shot. It's pretty loud, so I'm sorry about this next part. I'll probably try to mute it in class. So this is working pretty well. This is pretty strong. I mean, the power setting here is really high. This is stronger than I thought, but it's working. So I think this is the way that we'll have to do this. I think I went all the way through. So now I want to check it. I guess I didn't go all the way through. So I'm just going to keep going till I go through. I don't think I have to do the rest of this on video. I think you got the idea. I'll remember to bring this to class, and I'll have to help you do this part. But I'm also doing this just to show you that these things can be taken apart, just because You created something, it doesn't mean that it's sacred and that you can't cut into it to do something else or to make it better. So I'm gonna take this apart and then I'll be back with 2 pieces in a second.
Drop me a like, I'd really appreciate it.
Okay, so I cut into it and I had to finish it off with the knife because the Sonic here thing here, the Sonic Crafter, it just isn't wide enough to get all the way through.
Have an awesome day.
So that's what we have. Now I'm gonna split it and I want to shape this a bit, if I can, and I think I can, and just push this down a bit to make it a bit concave. And we're gonna do that on both sides. And I'm gonna tape it and I'm gonna paper mache it. So I've split the sphere, and honestly I think it looks great, but it's not deep enough, right? So I wanted it to have kind of going in, so it feels like the inside of a mouth. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create these strips. So take a sheet of paper, roll it up tight. Not super duper tight, just tight. And then wrap that, it's not quite tight enough. Twist it. And we're gonna wrap that in tape. Okay, now you're going to take this and make it flexible. Like twist it so it can turn. And what we're going to do is we're actually going to attach that with hot glue onto here. And I think that's going to give us the depth that we want. And it'll also kind of act like gums that we'll attach the teeth to. And I think that's going to work out pretty well. So you can go ahead and do that. One for each side. And don't attach the back. So find out wherever the front is, because remember that the back we're going to have to open up a hole to put the tongue through. Just leave it like that. Don't cut off the excess. And we'll see if we need that later. Maybe we'll use that excess to wrap around the tongue, or the tongue. And maybe that'll help us. So right now I'm going to glue that piece on there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the back, for the bottom, I'm sorry. Okay, so I've gone ahead and done that. And I think it's okay so far. So our teeth are actually going to go on that, which are the gums. And that leaves a nice space for us to go ahead and fit the tongue right through there. And then of course we are going to have to reattach this. How that's going to play out, I'm not entirely sure, but we want to make sure that the mouth is nice and open, so we can, when we paint, we can go in there and get all of the edges, even the little hidden areas. So I am going to well, let's get the other piece to see how it might look with the tongue in there. So this is it. And this would be the top, which would be like this. Right? And then this would be the bottom. So it would have to come out a little bit more than I was expecting, because this isn't really tall enough. So I think I'm debating, but I might cut this and make it a bit taller so I have a little bit more space to put the head. Yeah, so that's what I'm gonna do. Let's see if I can just cut it like this. Now in order to do this, you need a really good pair of scissors. Okay, that's gone. And what I want to do is I just want to extend that. So I'll be back in just a second. I'm probably just going to get a square piece and extend it, and then add to that, wrap the poster board around it so it's taller. So I made this piece, and that's gonna go on here. It's a bit too long right now, but I kept messing around with the tongue here, and I discovered that part of the problem is that the angle here is too steep. So I want to straighten this out a bit more to give me some room. Now, again, this just is going to require a lot of surgery, and you could probably do that with a pair of scissors. I'm going to cut right into that, and that's going to let me extend this a bit. And we'll see if that actually creates a nice, oh, the paper mache wasn't dry, so it's coming off. No biggie. It's going to create like a nice pocket right there. And hopefully now the bottom will fit nicely there. Yeah. See, so that's actually pretty good. And I would feel safe. Just gluing that right in there. And then the top would be something like that. Now it does make me feel like the tongue is a bit too long, if that's where we're gonna keep it. So again, no biggie. We're gonna shorten the tongue by cutting into it. Now let's take another look, and we end up with something like that. And over here, it's gonna give us something like that. And of course, we're gonna have to touch up the back. And I think that's gonna work. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take advantage and glue this piece right in there. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm sorry, before you do that, actually, paper mache this and paper mache that tip of the tongue. I'm gonna explain to you guys, hopefully you avoid all these mistakes, but also it is important to know that these things can be altered. You built it, you can reshape it, and that's really important to understand. Okay, so I paper mached the tongue, the new tongue. And you should do all of this first. I also paper mached the bottom and the top jaw. It would be wise once that's dry to paint this. So while this stuff is drying, remember that while stuff is drying, you could do other things. So what I'm gonna do is I am gonna take this extra piece I created, and I'm gonna extend the neck a bit. But also make sure you don't do too much. So if this piece ends up being too long, just shorten it to something that you think will be a bit better. And if you end up doing this, just test it out. And I think that's good. So there's a little cross there and a cross here, and I'm just gonna try to line those up. If it doesn't line up perfectly, then you can just take a little bit away. I'm going to wrap a few strips of poster board around that, and then I'm going to try to attach the top. Instead of cutting really thin strips, I'm just going to take a thick strip and I'm going to wrap that around. And you know what, just for good measure, I am going to put some hot glue on these sides so it holds well, maybe even a little bit on the bottom. And we're going to wrap that around. Cut off the excess. Put some glue right here. And bring that full circle. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing for the top. Just going to attach it to that piece. This piece right here. Try to figure out just the best positioning for you. And put that on there. And now I'm just going to get my tape. And I'm going to tape around this. Right, so there we've extended the neck. Now I'm just going to get some paper mache and cover that piece that we just created. Now, while you're still waiting for this to dry, you could get started on the teeth. Now, how are you going to do the teeth? The teeth, you're going to get a regular sheet of copy paper, and you could get your small cup and just trace small cup. There's 9 teeth, 5 on the top, 4 on the bottom. You cut those out. Here's a little advice when you cut the teeth just to help you out. If you can line them up, hold them together, just cut more than one at a time. That way you save yourself, I don't know, just a few minutes. If you want to cut them one at a time, that's fine too. Alright, remember you should have 9 of these. Now what you're going to do is you're going to cut up slightly past the middle, you're going to make a cone. You've already done this before, and you're just going to flip that in on itself. And you want to make it very, very thin, very tight. As tight as you can get it. They don't all have to be perfectly the same, but you do want to make sure that they're thin. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue here, and I'm going to put a little bit of glue inside to give it strength. I'm going to do that with all of these. That's going to give me 9 of these. Then later we're going to cut them down to size to make sure that they're not too long. Alright, I have the 9 cones that are going to make the teeth, and these are dry enough that I think we can put them on. So depending on how big yours is, you want to kind of measure it. Now clearly this is going to be too long. So if you've been keeping up with the measurements, I think if we get them down to about 1/2 inch, I think that'll be a good measurement. So just make a line, put it against your ruler, make a line right at the 1/2 inch mark, and that's where we're going to cut it. Now, that might seem like it might be too small, but remember that you're going to put teeth on the top as well, so at least there'll be 1 inch of separation. Like, it needs to be 1 inch and then some. Well, you're going to do that to all of them, and then we're going to cut them. And let's take a look at this video. Let's see if maybe that is too short. As a matter of fact, let's just test one out right now, so that way we don't have to do them all. So I'm gonna cut it right below that line I just made, and then get your teeth. Well, I think that's pretty good. And remember that this is the gum. We're gonna add the lips later. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. So 1/2 inch is good. Do that to all of them. Alright, I went ahead and taped it, and we're going to paper mache over that in a second. So now I was playing with this, and I really like it. I think for the top, I'm just going to remove this. I'm not going to bother because it's too bulky. It just gets in the way. And again, for you, check if that's true or not. So that's where we're at. The tongue was sticking out a bit too much, so I pushed it down. And I'm pretty happy with that. So I think, just because I want to see it, I'm going to try to glue and tape this together. So I'm going to put glue here, put it, and then I'm going to put tape here on the back to hold it together, and that's pretty cool. And that's what I'm going to do next. Okay, so this is the stage we're at. Now if you look at the reference, let me show you. So if you look at the reference, you see that it has really big lips. That's the part that we're going to work on next. We're going to try to get those really big lips, and we're just going to do the same thing that we did before, where we scrunched up paper and like we did for the gums, but this time we're going to have to scrunch up more than just one sheet. This is 2 sheets, And I think that'll be enough. So I had to do 2 sheets scrunched up, wrapped in tape, and I did that twice. Now it's too long, so we are gonna have to cut it down the middle and kind of take it halfway, right? Just mark it wherever the center is. And then just have that other side. When you put this side on, you just want to have this other side line it up, and you're going to have to cut it as well just so it matches up perfectly, and then we're going to glue those ends together. But you do have to make sure that this is plenty flexible. And I'm going to glue this side on just so I know where I have to cut the other side. Alright, so I glued that piece down. Now I'm going to do the same thing over here, but I'm going to hold it there and I'm just going to make a line here so I know where to cut. I'm going to cut that. Put plenty of glue on this side, plenty. And I'm just going to stick this on now. We are going to paper mache this. Okay. And I'm going to do the same thing with the bottom. So I'm going to do the same exact thing with the bottom to give it those lips. And maybe I'll put a little bit of glue in between here as well. Doesn't seem like it. It just needs a little bit more. Alright, I'll be back. You'll see that it'll be on the bottom as well. Okay, so now it's on the bottom. And this is what we got. And I think it's pretty cool. So this is our base. Remember, we cut out that tongue. So I'm gonna have to attach a piece from here to here. So I'm gonna add a piece that curves here. I'm gonna draw that out. So just on a piece of cardboard like this, I'm just going to draw out how I want that to curve a bit inward. And you could take care of it so you don't have this problem right when you draw the neck. Just make it a bit taller and make it curve out a bit more. I'm the guinea pig, so you learn by me. All right. I'm going to cut this out, and then I'm going to cut out a piece to apply here, and I'm going to attach that to the neck. I'll show you what that looks like in just a second. So here I have the extension for the neck, and this is the part that's going to be folded. So as you know, you got to make sure that that's very flexible. And we're going to cut that in half. And we're just going to glue that. We're going to glue that right on here. Do that to both sides, and then we'll attach it. Okay, so again, this is like the third neck extender we've made. And I attach these little pieces here, like little tabs, and the hope is that they're gonna help me stick it onto here. So I'm gonna glue that, and then I'm gonna wrap it all up in tape. And hopefully that'll be enough. Of course with glue here as well. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I've added what I hope to be the final neck extension. Now it does feel a bit long, but I think when we add the leaves, it's gonna end up being okay. And of course yours doesn't have to be that long. And then if you feel like making it shorter, you could take a section out of here, just bring it down and glue it and tape it. Now I'm gonna glue the head, and I'm gonna put a little rim around here. So if you look at the reference, you'll see that it has like a little rim. How am I gonna do that? I'm gonna get a sheet of paper, I'm gonna roll it up, and I'll put tape around it, and then I'm gonna wrap it around here, and I'm gonna glue that. And then once that's done, all that'll be left is to paper mache all the taped areas, and then we'll do the leaves. So the next part is to add, these two pieces. And that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so I'm trying to glue this on, and it's giving me a pretty hard time. So what I'm gonna do to assist in this, see, it won't stay on. I'm gonna take a piece of tape and I'm gonna put it from there to there. And if you could have your neighbor help you for this step, that might be better. I am currently alone. So with one hand, I'm gonna try to open up the tape. I'm gonna lay it down. Okay. All right, let's try that again. So I'm just gonna put a piece of tape here, and hopefully that is gonna hold it just long enough till we can reinforce it a bit. Oh, it's tilting forward. Put another piece. So one of my concerns originally was that it would be top heavy and it would fall over, okay? So we're gonna have to find a solution for that. But before we find a solution for that, we're gonna have to reinforce that with the strip that I told you. So I'm gonna get that paper, I'm gonna wrap it up, and I'm gonna put it there. And hopefully it'll hold in place. But before that, I think I'm gonna put just a few more strips of tape just to hold it. So yeah, gonna need more tape. Then I'm gonna put that thing on. So I was able to get it to hold. It's a bit tough by myself, but you can do it by yourself. Just start putting strips of tape and then you wrap one strip all the way around and it'll hold. It is top heavy, so it's falling over right now. So we're going to have to add some weight to the base here, and it might be better to do that earlier on. So I have to see what I can go and find so I can add some weight to this so it stops tipping over. And we're gonna do that, like I said, we're gonna open up a section here. Probably not completely, so we're just gonna cut into it like a square, but we're gonna leave one side. We're gonna open it and we're just gonna put some weight in there. Let me go see if I can find something. So I think I found some gravel that I'm gonna try to put in the base to weigh it down. But while I'm preparing that, I'm gonna just wrap, again, we need another one of these. I'm just gonna wrap that around. Actually, first I'm going to, so I'm gonna cut the tip off so it gives me kind of a flatter surface. And just like we did with the lips, I'm gonna just take that around. Make sure it's nice and flexible, right? So you wanna make sure that this is very flexible. And I'm gonna take that around and I'm just gonna mark it where I want to cut it. So right there. So it kind of connects really nicely to itself. Cut that. And now we're gonna gonna apply plenty of glue right around here. Plenty. And we're gonna take this and we're gonna put it on. And if we're a little bit off, like we are here, that's not a big deal. So we're gonna cut it again so it fits nicely, and then we're gonna reinforce that. So I'm just gonna cut off this tip, apply glue here, and just in time too, because we need that to hold the two pieces together. So now I'm going to reinforce it by putting it all along the edge right here. And just pushing the head on. So that should be gluing onto the stem, and it's gluing onto the head. It's coming apart back here, so this is tricky. Just hold it in place till it dries up a little bit, and then we could go back in and reinforce it more. Now, that should also be reinforced when we apply paper mache. So paper mache is going to be another bond that'll hopefully help it hold together. But even before that, we are going to apply more tape, just to even right along the edges. And it's also true to the reference because it does have a piece like that. So I'm just going to take some tape, but we don't want to smooth out that piece, so we want to fit it into the crevice just as much as we can, because we want to make sure that piece is noticeable there. And we're going to go all the way around with that. So just squeeze it in there. So again, squeeze it in there. And even if you have like a pair of scissors or something, just go like this so we still get that edge. But we need the strength. And you're gonna make sure we keep that edge once you paper mache it as well. I'm only going to do it to that area. I really want that edge, but I also need the strength of it to hold. Like, I don't want it to feel like it's part of the same piece. So I'm trying to squeeze it in as much as possible, but when it comes time to put the paper mache, we're gonna have to do something there. Yeah, I'm even breaking the tape. I want the edge more than right now than I'm getting, so I'm just gonna so that's not giving me the edge that I want here, so I'm gonna have to do something. And I think what I've decided to do is just to get maybe a piece of cardboard and to put it around there. So making the border a bit larger, but it's also going to pop out more. And hopefully that'll work, and that'll give us enough of an edge so it doesn't feel like this is just a part of the head. I really don't want it to feel like that. And I would maybe even go as far as removing some of this tape. So, because that's not visually what I was going for. Is it gonna make the head fall apart? I hope not. But I want to make sure that if it doesn't feel like it's just a part of the head. Yeah. So it's not working for me. That wasn't working for me. So let's see, maybe I won't have to add that extra piece of cardboard. Like I said before, you made this thing, so you can work it and rework it until you find something that works for you. And what I'm going to try to do now is I'm going to try it. It doesn't mean it's going to work. I'm going to apply the glue here around the edge. Plenty of glue. It hasn't really been working for me, but let's see. Maybe it'll work now. We're going to have to rely strictly on glue for this. And then just hold it. Just hold it until the glue dries. Alright, I'm going to hold that until the glue dries. Just a few minutes. That seems to have worked, right? So we still have the paper mache. Now I gotta add some weight so it stops falling over. So that's the next course of action. Alright, time to add some weight to the base, so hopefully it stops falling. First thing we gotta do is we gotta open up the base. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to open up a section, something like this, so then I can fold that down, put my gravel in there. So you could use whatever you have to weigh it down for yourself. But first we got to open that up. And you guys, if you're still at an earlier stage, you know, you could add the weight. At the earlier stage. Okay, we got our little window. Let's try to pull it open. All right. Okay, so now I'm gonna start adding my weight in there. Just enough to help it stand. Alright, so now it's standing without falling. I'm going to close this window back up, tape over it. It's going to have to be paper mache as well. Nice. Okay. Now, I just have to paper mache all of the taped areas. For when it comes to areas around the lips like this, when you paper mache, what you want to do is you want to cut a piece that's going to fit between the teeth. So this would be too wide. So a piece like this, and you wrap that around. So I'm gonna paper mache, and then I think that'll be enough for this video. All that will be left will be to create the leaves and then paint it. All right. And another option here, which might be easier, is don't even go into the mouth. Just stay outside and go right up to there, right up to the tooth, but not into the mouth. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, I just finished paper macheing, and the result is pretty good. I think that it looks great. The rocks are holding it, so, or the gravel's inside here. It's holding it. All that would be left for the sculpting is the leaves, and we'll take care of that in the next video. We'll do the leaves, and we will then start to paint, and then this project will be done. I made a lot of mistakes going through, but I was able to correct them all. Hopefully you will listen to me when I speak in class, and you can avoid some of the same mistakes that I made. Okay, that's it for this one. I'll see you in class.